12:34 on the opening day of March Madness here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show from the Sinorama Studios. And there's the real man himself. It looks like he's ready to play us a tune, Mr. Patrick Davis from beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. What's
up,
man?
What's up, guys? I didn't get prepared for this very well. I don't even have my earbuds on, so this is just I'm just hanging out. What's up?
Hey,
sounds great, man. Look good. It's all right.
This is a sort of a winged operation here. So,
what are you doing? Are you writing a new song, or what are you doing?
No, I had a breakfast meeting, and breakfast meetings for musicians are. Can I cuss on here? You probably can't cuss inside the game.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just don't use the F word.
Don't use the F word.
I almost did right then. I had to catch myself. Us musicians waking up early is difficult. So I had a breakfast meeting. So I'm just trying to figure out if I'm going to take a nap or what I'm going to do right now. It's 11:30 here. That's early for us.
Oh, I'm in Central too. I'm in Chicago, so yeah, I totally get that. That hour means a lot, man. I lived in Nashville the same way. I was like, man, it's early. Everybody else is up. So it's crazy.
Yeah, and I just got back from Europe. I was in Europe for the past 2 weeks, so I'm still a little bit messed up time wise as well. So, but anyway, it's good to see you guys. I like this Inside the Gamecocks. I like it. Good job.
Nice. We're looking forward to seeing you next week, man. I cannot wait I haven't seen you since your wedding.
I know you were there. I saw some pictures. I was like, oh, these are behind the scenes pictures here.
Yeah, I didn't put some of them on there.
Yeah, well, the ones with your pants off. We didn't want those. Those. Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't matter. You're not going to see anything in that photo.
They were small. They were small JPEGs. Yeah, they were. So.
That was. I know you probably got tired of me texting you after yours and Lauren's wedding. Who, by the way, she was just flat gorgeous, but that was the coolest wedding ever.
Thanks, man.
And I know you were making fun of me because everybody was after the wedding, there's all this stuff going on, and I'm just sitting there with Ralph Friedgen watching Alabama, Tennessee. I had no idea what was going on behind me. Our first dance and all kinds of stuff, and we're like, we're not moving till this game ends.
Yeah. Well, we actually did they were trying to get us to do the I told the venue, I was like, hey guys, you're going to have to keep the televisions on like up until the moment that we're saying our vows. And then you're going to have to, as soon as we're done with that, I need these televisions back on. And they're like, what? And I was like, it's freaking Saturday in the South. There's no way that I picked the weekend specifically because it was an off weekend for South Carolina football. I was like, this was a well-planned, well-oiled machine here that we were trying to put in play. And that Alabama-Tennessee game, we were in Chattanooga. You can't not have that. We were 5 miles from Alabama. I was like, you can't not have that playing. And Lauren's dad was a little bit. He was so nervous to give his speech, and he's like, we need to get out there and do that speech. And I looked at him and I was like, his name's Brian. I go, Brian. You're going to have to wait. And if this game goes to overtime, then we're going to be about 30 minutes more before you talk. And he was like, okay. And it was so funny. The game gets over and everybody comes outside. I was watching it. I wasn't going out. I didn't care what he had to say. I was going to see what
You see, guys, this is how you do a wedding. This is it. You plan it around your off weekend. You leave the TVs on.
Yeah, it was awesome. That was a beautiful. It was, and Lauren was gorgeous. And she's the only thing, she must be blind. That's the only thing we could figure out with with me. But it all works out pretty well, man. It was a good time. I'm glad you were there. And Ralph was so sweet to come up there because he was about to have I think he had knee replacement surgery or something like that coming up, and he still came up there. And and you're right. Jamie never left Ralph Friedgen's side basically the whole time. He was like, well, you're talking to me. It's like, hey, it's like that Will. It's like that. That Will Farley thing or whatever, or Chris Farley thing on Saturday Night Live when he met Paul McCartney. He was like, remember that time? You were the coach. That was cool.
So Fridge, he only lives like 5 doors down from my cousin on the Isle of Palms. We didn't even realize that. So
wow. Look at that. You guys are basically just best friends.
Buddies. Yeah. It's awesome. When is Ralph Friedgen coming on the show, Jamie?
I guess we got to get him on. Yeah.
Get Ralph on here, man.
Hey, Ralph's coming on. Ralph will be there on Saturday, next Friday night in Charleston. He's coming. They texted me. They'll be saying, hey, you can rekindle your love affair. Yeah, you go, hey, I'll put you guys at the same table as Ralph. Yeah. And then he'll just be like, and he's going to look at me. He's going to text me during the show and be like, this shit again, Patrick?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, Bobby and Kevin, my cousins, they're coming too, and they're the
Okay.
neighbors. You put us together, and this will be fine. They'll be out in the boat together all summer, and you're just look at you, a matchmaker.
I'm not sure if Ralph goes on a lot of boats, so I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I hope he's doing better because
he's doing better. He's doing good. He got a hip replacement or something, knee replacement, something happened. I know that. Like, but he's still, I mean, he's a good dude. He actually loves Coach Beamer. He's a big fan because him and his dad were friends. So yeah. Well,
he was telling me that, it's interesting. We'll move on to you, but what was interesting, I was telling Haney that night about when y'all all the dancing and all the music outside. I was telling Haney, he said, "So what were you and Fridge talking about?" I said, let me summarize it this way. We were just talking, he was telling me, Bill O'Brien, he basically brought him along. And so he was basically calling plays in the Alabama game. And we were talking about pro style offenses, this, that, and the other. JC, I mentioned this to you and Phil one time. And I said, so let me ask you a question, Coach. What do you think about the pro style offense that Carolina's running? He looks at me, he goes, "It's not pro style." I said, "Well, that's what Marcus Satterfield told us it was." He goes, "No, that's not a pro style offense." I was like, "So we have an offensive coordinator that runs a pro style offense that he thinks, but it's not a pro style offense?" He goes, "That's pretty much right." Hey, well, we're doomed. Of course, we ended up beating Tennessee, and
everybody, we're much better mood after that Tennessee game for sure. But yeah, Ralph is I think a offensive kind of genius. Even from his couch, he still calls people still call him for information and stuff. So yeah, but it's good to hear. He thinks that he had nothing but high praise about Shane being the coach, and he and his wife Gloria both were like, this is the right move for the University of South Carolina, and I think it has been, and hopefully it continues to be. So that's the idea. But anyway, hey, good to see y'all.
Well, so you're going to be here next week in my neck of the woods at the Riviera downtown, patrickdavismusic.com for the VIP tickets. And then, of course, there's a link there that'll take you to Ticketmaster or the Riviera and then to Ticketmaster for which there's not many of those tickets left. I looked and saw. And then the following week, you're back for your second annual Where I'm From event in beautiful Camden for the Cup, right?
Yeah, in the metropolis of Camden, South Carolina. I don't know if you guys ever been there. Big city, like Chicago, kind of like Chicago. That type of thing.
And Camden many times.
But yeah, but I get to go home and do that. And so actually for the next I'm actually going to Columbia Camden on next Wednesday, and I'm going to stay for 10 days. I'm going to be in God's country for a whole 10 days with the family and go see everybody. So I'm pretty excited. The Charleston show ought to be a blast because the Riviera Theater, I haven't actually been inside of it yet, but I was actually my buddy Jewel played there. I think that was the first show that happened there, and I've heard from a couple other people that it's a really great room. My buddy Mark Broussard actually played there last night. I don't know if you know Mark but Mark played there last night. They've only done maybe 10 shows there so far, but they renovated this old theater right downtown. I think it's right on Meeting King, somewhere in there. King, yeah. And it looks beautiful, so I'm excited about going in there and playing. I got my Midnight Choir, the big band, and then Camden. And Camden's great. Camden, that is where I'm from, and that song's written about Camden. So the Carolina Cup, which all of us that grew up in South Carolina or in the area remember the Carolina Cup. That was maybe you probably don't remember the Carolina Cup, but you were there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's Cup weekend, and so the Friday night before the Cup is when we always do the Where I'm From event. So that's been a lot of fun as well. So I'm a couple weeks in the big city or big state of South Carolina, I guess.
So Camden, a lot of people don't know this about Camden. Gosh, 1920s, there was there was some consideration to move the University of South Carolina to Camden.
Yep.
I'm sure you've heard that. They just didn't do it.
Should they?
I always thought that would have kind of been, if you're looking for a smaller town college feel, I would think Camden would be perfect for the University of South Carolina. But they left it in Columbia and probably wouldn't have it any other way, No, it would. That's a neat thing about Camden, like maybe our audience wasn't aware of.
Yeah. Camden actually has a pretty crazy history. Like they're actually right now. the Arlington Cemetery folks came there because the actual first battles of the Revolutionary War were in Camden, and they didn't bury the soldiers right. It's not like very well known. I always say the reason that people don't know this stuff about the South when it comes to the Revolutionary War is because all the history books were written up in Philadelphia and New York. So where were they going to talk about? They were going to talk about the place up north. And so they that's where they printed them up there, you know. And so but they actually are coming down to do a special burial of those soldiers because they weren't buried properly. So they were just buried in shallow graves, you know. And so so there's a lot of history there in Camden, and the Carolina Cup is, you know, that's kind of probably the reason they were thinking about moving it there was because Ann DuPont Scott and the DuPonts, actually their summer home was in Camden, or I guess winter home was in Camden. So they came from up in Chicago and New York, all these places, they came down there. So there was a lot of money there, and Camden kind of fell on some hard times, like a lot of small towns did for a minute, but it seems to a resurgence, and it's kind of like Gamecock football, you know, like it went dormant for a while, and then we beat Tennessee, and shit happened. So we're all happy now.
Everything's good again, man.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a story. The first time I heard Big Old Cock, and you'll probably get a kick out of this. It was 2009.
Yep.
I was literally walking into the Clemson, South Carolina game at Williams-Brice. Noon kickoff. CJ Spiller returns the opening kick. The Gamecocks came back and won 34-17.
Yep.
That day was the beginning of the 5-game winning streak.
It was. Yep.
So I've always thought there's something a little bit magical about that song, other than the fact me and my buddies used to just get up and start tailgating and blast it before the games, which I still do. Even fans of other schools love it, you know. Yeah. So I thought that was neat. I've always kind of appreciated that song for that reason, and just because I think it brought us a spell of good luck. Right?
Well, PD, tell us how that song even came to life.
Man, it's ridiculous. Like the song itself, like it just that was just I went to a Thursday night game. I've said this before, but it was the Ole Miss game when we remember Norwood got those sacks, and we beat them like a drum. It was an amazing game, and I happened to come home from Nashville and watch that game. And I remember being in the stadium, and the stadium was rocking, and just being like, man, we need a song. You know, as a songwriter, you just kind of laugh. We come up with titles constantly, you know, and I was like, oh, we need a song. It'd be something, you know, but it can't be serious. It's got to be something fun. It's got to be something that a kid would sing, you know, it's got to be something that sounds kind of silly. And when I was a kid, when I had a shirt that said, "You can't lick our cocks," I had that shirt. And I remember I was in Spanish class in the 9th grade, and Miss Smoke, our teacher, who said, "Come I te llamas," that's what she was the worst Spanish teacher in the world. And she
like Peggy Hill.
It was pretty remarkable. Like my name is Russell Patrick Davis. That's my full name. Patrick in Spanish is Patricio. Very easy, very easy. And when I walked into class, she goes, "You're going to be Ricardo." And I was like, "Okay, so my name is Ricardo." Great. All right. So anyway, so I'll never forget her making me turn my shirt inside out because she thought the shirt was inappropriate, you know. And so for me, you know, that's kind of funny. And I was like, man, what would the name of this song be? And I just came up with, I was like, "Just a Big Old Cock." And I wrote it in about probably 30 minutes on my couch. I laughed the entire time. Sent it to a couple of my buddies. They were like, "You got to record it." I recorded it right at the end of 2009 season and just put it out there. The next thing I know, you know, probably Haney and you know, Jamie, whoever down there was playing it on the radio. And I was like, "What?" My mom was like, my mom called me. It was like, "Patrick, I hear they're playing a song of yours on the radio." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And she was like, "What's it called?" I was like, "Mom, that's not important, you know." And,
that's right.
And but no, it still is great because I still get kids to this day. It's you know, I have a couple this kid named Blake Weinbach that kind of works for my he does merch for me and stuff when I'm down there. But he's a young musician, and you know, his buddies, they all listen to Big Old Cock before the game. They turn it on in the morning and they listen to it all day. You know, it's just like I go
about 5 or 6 times myself. I mean, I'm 46 years old, dude. I'm on the my fiance is from Thailand originally and from Chicago. She has no idea what I'm. She said, "Why are you playing that? What's why are you? Let me do that. Why are you playing that? What's that a cock thing? What does that mean?" You know, I'm like, "Yeah, you wouldn't get it." You know, I mean, just like okay. So the brilliance of it is though, you go and you pulled it like what Gamecock fans always think, because it's like, I hate the Georgia Bulldogs, Florida Gators, but you don't say Tennessee, you say and Rocky Top. Because we all hate Rocky Top playing over and over the stadium. I don't know.
That's a soft rhyme. It could be a hard rhyme because the word is cock, but it's a rhyme with cock. It works pretty well.
What rhymes with cock?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and this is actually the amazing thing about this. We did the show. Me and Edwin went down and did the show the night before the Gator Bowl game. Or was that we played Gator Bowl? Whatever, Jacksonville. What is it, Jacksonville? And so we go down there and play. And it's all Gamecock. It's 1,000 Gamecocks fan at this show. And Edwin, and so Edwin does "I'll Be," and then I have to close the show out because we're just swapping songs. He does his last song is "I'll Be," and I'm last, and I have to do "Big Old Cock." And I go, I'm going to let all of you folks know that when I wrote this silly ass song 10, 15 years ago, I never thought anyone would hear it. And I promise you, I did not think there was going to be a show where I played and I had to close out the show. The opening song to Big Old Cock was "I'll Be" by Edwin McCain. I was like, this is
who would have thought?
Fucking insane.
It's outrageous.
Insane.
Perfect.
I was like, and Edwin's probably sitting there, Edwin, old friends. I'm sure in the back of his mind, he's like, this dumb son of a bitch. I can promise you. I can promise you that he's sitting there going like, they play "I'll Be" all over the planet. It's played in, you go to Home Depot, you can't help but hear "I'll Be." I'm like, and I'm sitting there playing in a show where the last song I got to open up for "Big Old Cock." This is great. So, but
that's a good point. "I'll Be" was we just watched a movie that "I'll Be" was.
He got paid so much money. Edwin literally will never have to work again because of Jennifer Lopez. Like that's basically what happened. Yeah, he was like, dude, he's like, they just put me in a movie for this song, and then he showed me the trailer, and the whole trailer was "I'll Be," the entire song, and then they sang it in the movie. And I mean, the movie's obviously a piece of shit. You can tell that, but like, here's the deal: "I'll Be" is wonderful. So he got paid a lot of money, so I'm happy for him. So that's the dream. And hey, listen, and if "Big Old Cock" is in a movie, I will let you guys know, but it will probably not be on Netflix. If it's
I was about to say, it's going to be like, MILF teachers. Something.
I
get it. Yeah, exactly. Well, so 76 in our chat box said, I enjoyed that "Where I'm From" song. So so Jason Michael Carroll had recorded that song, but that's your song. You wrote that song. Your version's better. It's a lot.
Well,
Will you be playing that song? I know you'll be playing "Big Old Cock." Will you be playing "Where I'm From" next Friday night?
Oh yeah. Of course. All those, the thing about me is I've been fortunate enough to write so many songs. And the dream is that you have, I laugh about Edwin, like to bring up "I'll Be." Well, "I'll Be," he's gonna have to play that song for the rest of his life. And while you can kind of go, oh God, I got to play that song again. That's not the way we really think about it, because those are the songs that allow us to do what we do. We get paid. We get to have a job. And "Big Old Cock" is that way for me. I really only do "Big Old Cock" usually in South Carolina, because it makes the most sense. But like you were saying, JC, I have friends from all over that actually could care less about South Carolina sports, and they love that song. They'll even tell me, they're like, "Hey, will you play the "Big Old Cock" song?" And I'm like,
catchy,
why?
yeah.
I'm like, we're in Napa. I'm like, we're in California. What are you talking about? And they'll ask me, the Gamecock fans will love this. They'll ask me to describe to explain the choruses to them as I'm doing the song. So I'll be playing the song and I'll be like, okay, Steve Tannehill had a big mullet, kind of like Travis Tritt, like big, great quarterback, signed his name. And I'll be like, George Rogers won the Heisman, might have done some shit that we shouldn't talk about, but other than that, it's really cool. And, it's a lot of fun, like, cause they love, but anyway, as songwriters, we all want to do those songs that people keep asking for. And fortunately for me, "Where I'm From," or, my Carolina, or there's a lot of those songs that I've been fortunate enough to write. And there's nothing better than the feeling of knowing that people, appreciate, what we try to create art, and even and some of it's Gamecock art, but it's still it's a great feeling to have people appreciate it. So
like balancing, like I'll get back to this last question, I promise. Balancing the songwriter performer thing, because it's fascinating to me. I lived in Nashville, but it had nothing to do with music. But I kind of knew some people or whatever. And I know Michael Haney and all. So like Chris Stapleton, right? Chris Stapleton, people may not even know this, was a songwriter for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then found his niche performing, and next thing you know, he's doing the national anthem, which, by the way, I thought was one of the best national anthems I've ever heard.
Well, Stapleton
how do you balance that, or is there even a need for the balance? I mean,
Stapleton's super shy individual. He's not really the guy that's going to go out there and try to be famous, I guess, and so the writing thing kind of did work for him for a long time, and he was always an artist. Like Stapleton he did numerous albums before anybody, and some of them were like rock albums. He did like a heavy rock album. He did like a couple of albums that nobody knew about. And we kind of, within the inner circles of Nashville, kind of everybody knew Stapleton was the most talented of all of us in terms of just I mean, like he could, like, we all play the Bluebird Cafe, right? The Bluebird's the world famous Bluebird. Well, Stapleton's got such a big voice that, the Bluebird's only about 80 seats. That's all the people that are in it. It's like playing in a living room. And usually you have a little microphone in front of you, and it's very quiet, but you still have to have a microphone because not everybody can hear you. Well, they actually had to they didn't even give him a microphone. That's how loud his voice is.
Wow.
Like, so Stapleton's one of those guys that we all knew how talented he was. And for about, you're right, for about a decade or so. The other thing was the landscape had to change because Stapleton, in the world of pretty boys and kind of like, pop country that is kind of you got to think like the late 90s to like mid 2015, everybody that was on country radio was like this pretty boy that, Rascal Flatts or whatever, and so Stapleton didn't really fit into that thing. He's a big old burly human being, he's a big, he looks like he could, it looks like he plays, offensive line for the Rams, he doesn't look like he's going to be singing the national anthem. But once he got out there and people saw it, but everyone always has to remember, Stapleton was out for about a year with a big album, and it sold maybe 100,000 copies in a year, which is not many albums. And then he went on and did the one of the award shows with Justin Timberlake. And when Timberlake did that award show, the only way that Timberlake would do it, because they've been asking him forever, Timberlake said, "I'll only do it with Chris Stapleton, and I have no time restraints." Because usually, you think about it, it's like it's like when you win an award at the Oscars and they like usher you off the stage. It's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the Chappelle Show thing where wrap it up. Anyway, pretty funny. But it always happens. And they told Timberlake said, "I will do this, but there's no time limit. I can do whatever I want." And so if you remember, it was like a 10 or 11 minute like thing of them singing, and the thing was, I think people were just like, who in the hell is this person singing with? Like, it was mind-blowing. And after that, from that moment on, Chris Stapleton became Chris Stapleton. And I know some of these things. My business manager is also Stapleton's business manager, and so we kind of we're not buddies or anything like that at all, but we kind of know a lot of the same world. And it's amazing to see how successful he's been, and it's very exciting for those of us who actually appreciate real music and want to see real songwriters and real talent. Because honestly, in Nashville, that's usually not what wins. It's usually the pretty girl or the pretty boy who just happened to be on The Voice or whatever, and she just does her thing. And you can like, I always say, there's 95%, 98% of the people in Nashville, they're interchangeable. If they died tomorrow in a plane crash, they just plug another person in after they do a memorial service, and then there'll be another person to take their chance, their spot. But Chris Stapleton, there ain't another Chris Stapleton. They can all try to be him, but they're just not. And so it's a really nice thing to happen. And I think the songwriting thing starts it, but there's always that artistry thing, and it's beautiful when that actually comes together. And that's kind of what I try to do. Trust me, I ain't never singing like Chris Stapleton. You ain't never seen me do the national anthem at the Super Bowl, but that's okay. Maybe I'll do it at like the Gamecocks spring game.
Yeah, something like that. People get crazy. It'd be great.
Well, so Patrick, what's your inspiration, man, for putting together the Midnight Choir? Not to jump in front of anybody.
Yeah.
As a former band kid, I love it because you give the full rich sound behind you. What really moved you to put that together, man?
Man, I grew up listening to the big, like, I loved Joe Cocker. I loved Van Morrison. I loved Ray Charles. And that's not a sound you really hear a lot now. And I also loved Lyle Lovett, who was a great songwriter. And I realized I kind of wanted to put that together when I had the ability to do it. And it's such an expensive endeavor. And I'm just being honest. It's so expensive when you have 10 or 12 people on stage, plus the people working, that are running the sound or all the other pieces of it. You really have to be in a fortuitous situation to make that work. And because of the songwriting, just like Stapleton, he didn't have to worry about it quite so much because the songwriting had kind of paid the bills for a long time. He'd made the money. And so for me personally, once I figured out, I was like, I want to be an artist. I don't want to just write songs anymore. And that only happened about 5 years ago, to be honest. I was kind of like, I want to start doing this for real. And I want this sound. And that's what the Midnight Choir is, because I love the horns. It's like Charlton Singleton from Charleston. Man. He'll be, Ranky Tanky just won their second Grammy. Charlton's in Ranky Tanky. He'll be there on next Friday in Charleston. And having those guys on stage, man, it's like surround yourself with people better than you. I think that's what's great about, like I think Beamer's, and I'm gonna go back to Gamecocks, but I'm serious. I think that Beamer has figured out, put people around you that are as passionate as you are, but that might be better than you are at certain things. And for Midnight Choir, everybody on that stage is better than me, but that's okay because it makes me want to be better. So, and I that's kind of my goal with what I do in everything in life. And with the Midnight Choir, I just want those people around me because I'm a fan. I'm literally a fan. When Charlton takes a solo, I'm like, holy shit, man. I don't even know what notes you just played. I know those notes are in my instrument, but I don't even know how you get to those. So, my dad plays guitar, and he plays with me in the Midnight Choir. We're in South Carolina, and it's just it's a family atmosphere, but I'm really just a fan. That's really the thing. That's kind of part of it. I just wanted that sound, and I'll never sing like Joe Cocker, which is probably means I'll live a little longer than he will, but he did. But but it's I still love that sound, and I hope that when people come to the show, they realize they're seeing something that is unique and different and kind of authentic. And because my songwriting, I could just sit up there with an acoustic guitar and play the songs, and that's fun. But it's more fun for me to have my guys up there and girls. So
well, and when I say this, I mean it wholeheartedly. It is your shows, and I know we're pretty much out of time here in the next couple of minutes because JC's got to jump on and do something else, but your shows are an experience, which is really neat because they separate themselves from everything else. I mean, obviously we all go to a bunch of shows. I mean, it's not like going to Eric Church. It's not like going to Hootie and the Blowfish. It's not like going to those things. It is a totally different experience. I was trying to explain this to my cousin Kelly yesterday because she's never seen you. She's going to be with us next week. And I was like, I just put it this way: the beginning of the show and the end of the show, you're going to be on separate spectrums.
Yeah. Okay.
It just I don't know how to explain it. It's just what they do, but the whole time it really is an experience. So for anybody that is thinking about going, you're going to see something different that you're going to enjoy. There's nobody, I've never talked to one person that's like, that was okay. Even Michael Flint. Oh man, what happened last night? I'm like, we ended up at Hall's and you were sleeping in the bed of your truck. I don't know what happened. Like, but that was thanks to you, man. So is Lauren coming too?
Yeah, Lauren, she's not. She'll probably get up and sing a song or two, but she's coming down with me. So yeah, she'll be there, and I'll get her up to sing a little bit, and yeah, it'll be a family affair. I think my little sister won't be there, but my dad's going to be there, and like I said, Charlton's going to be in the house, and a bunch of the Midnight Choir is made up of a few folks from Nashville, but most of the folks are South Carolina people. So it's all, and I think there's only one. We have one sad case, Zan DeBose, is an amazing background singer who actually went to Clemson, and we give her shit for it pretty much the entire time we're on stage. And but other than that, it's all Gamecocks, and but it's a lot of fun, man. And I do look forward to it, and I look forward to playing on stage, always. But coming home, Charleston, Camden, those are pretty special spots to be. And I look forward to. I got a new album coming out. It starts in about a month or so, or the singles start coming out, and so. I look forward to doing some of those songs and some of the old ones. So, and we'll do Big Old Cock for everybody. So don't worry.
Yeah. You answered one of my questions. I was going to ask you about the new album, and you better be careful because you're kind of digging your own grave with this whole Born to Crow thing with Haney. He's going to be the next Gamecock guy. And all of a sudden it's going to be like Patrick, who? Patrick.
That's okay. I'll I give Haney, I love me some Haney, man. He's a good cat. Yeah, and he came to me and he was like, man, the boys are writing this another book and they need a song. And I was like, all right, well, Haney, you sit there on the back porch and we're going to write this song, And so we did, and nailed it. And that's it. And Born to Crow. And now we're trying to get him to write another book. I'm like, why wouldn't you write another book called Born to Crow? I wrote the title for you. It's easy. You should just know, it's pretty fucking, pretty simple. Sorry. Damn it. Sorry, guys. I got all the way to here.
That's all right.
That's all right. PatrickDavisMusic.com. I'll let you finish in a second, JC. I just want to make sure I clearly get this in.
He's out.
The VIP experience.
I think there's about 10 or 15 of those suckers left, and that's fun, man. We're going to do a rooftop thing up on top of the Riviera. They got a nice rooftop bar and stuff. There's gonna be some food and some cocktails, and then we'll do some. I'll bring you cocktails? You'll be happy, and I'll make sure. And then I think you get great seats, and then also there's posters and stuff like that. But the VIP stuff is fun for me because it's kind of like I get to hang with people. I really genuinely enjoy talking to people before. As you can tell, I've never shut up. So I appreciate talking to people and before the shows and stuff. So I hope if you want a little bit better experience, better seats, do that. And if not, just get the regular ones. It'll all be fine. I promise.
Yeah. Whiskey Jam. That is the unofficial drink of
you will have
inside the Gamecocks. The show.
Yeah. We'll get you some of that.
It is good stuff, man. I mean, so.
I know. I've seen you drink. You don't drink though. That's the thing about you. Like you don't. Jamie, he stopped drinking, guys. About an hour ago, he said he's going to stop drinking.
I got the text.
Yeah. Well, we were leaving your the night before your wedding at the what's it? Macklemore Club.
Yep.
And we were luckily Carrie was driving my truck, but we came. I didn't realize really how much I'd had, and we came out of that thing. That road down there, it's kind of scary at night if you've never driven it.
You're in the mount. You're in the mountains. That's
we were on the edge of a mountain. We weren't in the mountains. We were on the edge of a mountain, and then I was like, where are we? And she was like, what is wrong with you? I was like, dude, I have no idea what just happened in there. I don't know any of those people, but drinks just kept coming, and how do we get home? Where we stay? We were in a yurt. The wind was blowing all night. I couldn't sleep.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think what's funniest about the story is you're acting like that just happens at my wedding. Like that's basically almost every night. He's like, where are we? Like, what's going on? Like, where are my pants?
I only stay in yurts. I only stay in yurts at your wedding. That's it. I mean, outside of that, we're looking for a Holiday Inn Express or something. But all right, man. Looking forward to that again. PatrickDavisMusic.com. Thank you. I know we kept you forever today.
No, thanks, man. Thanks for hanging out. And I'll get y'all some tickets to maybe give y'all can giveaways. I don't know. Can y'all give away tickets on these things or things?
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe. We'll do. I mean, y'all can. I don't know if you do it now or do it next week or whenever you want to. You can give away. Yeah, do it next week, and that way you give away your tickets. Like Ralph told me, he texted me and said, "Hey, man, listen, I was wondering if you could."
I'm good.
No, I don't.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you guys. I'll see y'all later, man. I'm going to the studio. I actually am. I do have to work. Like I got to work too.
Sure.
Well, whatever. Work, music, whatever you call it. So good. All right, bye, guys.
See you next week.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks, guys.